And now, from Nashville, Tennessee, here's Jake.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our wonderful world of gospel music. We call it Jake, Hess, and Friends. Our guest tonight is Brother Al Grounds. You'll love what Brother Al has to say. So let's get the program underway by having J.D. Sumner and the Stamps singing What Kind of Church? The Stamps.
What kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many souls would be saved today if it all depended on what I say? I wonder how many prayers would my Lord have to answer if all that he heard came from me? I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many times have I said, oh, Jesus, turn a deaf ear to the need? How many times have I said I'm a Christian, but never one soul did I need? How many luxuries have I passed by to have more to give to the Lord? Jesus, I promise as long as I live, from now on I'm gonna do more. No wonder my pastor has so many burdens I never do offer to bear. No wonder the members are bowed down with sorrow, for I never offer to share. No wonder the heathen are dying in sin. No wonder the missions are lack. My heart is cold and I've lost my first love, but Jesus, I'm on my way back. How many times have I said I love Jesus and turned a deaf ear to the need? How many times have I said I'm a Christian, but never one soul did I lead? How many luxuries have I passed by to have more to give to the Lord? Jesus, I promise as long as I live, from now on I'm gonna do more. I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many souls would be saved today if it all depended on what I say? How many prayers would my Lord have to answer if all that he heard came from me? I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? What kind of church would my church be? What kind of church would my church be? What kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me?
J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet featuring the voice of Mr. Ed Enoch. That song, What Kind of Church, is still in the gospel music charts, doing real well. Good quartet. We'll be back with some good singing right after this. I'm up in Dollywood, Tennessee, and they're singing for you. The Kingdom Airs, that is. Songs we used to sing. You'll like this.
Sunshine through. From way back in my memory, I sing an old melody. I see those gray skies turn to blue.
Amazing grace,
amazing grace, the sweetest sound I ever heard. Love lifted me. I know he loves me, for he tells me in his word. I'll fly away. One day I know I'll rise to meet him in the air. A mighty day. My Jesus is the dearest friend I ever found. Where could I go? To who else could I go when trouble gets me down? Where he leads, I'll follow him, and to my Savior I will cling. Oh, how I love those dear old songs we used to sing.
Just as I am,
he looked beyond my faults, he loved and cared for me. He set me free. He broke the chains of fear and doubt. He set me free. Oh, happy day. A song within my heart says words I cannot say. He walks beside me all the way.
trust and obey.
Oh, won't you heed sing. Oh, how I love those dear old songs. I love those dear old songs. Yes, I love those dear old songs. We used to sing. We used to sing.
Here's a man that I've known for many years. I've heard him speak many, many times. I don't know of anyone I admire or respect any more than Brother Al Brown.
Thank you, Jake. I feel the same about you, buddy.
Had another mutual admiration
Yes,
society going.
A little strange you introducing me. I'm always introducing you at our meetings and revivals and all the things we do together. It's good to be with you tonight.
Good to have you, Val.
Thank you, sir.
We have a good time over the country. In fact, we had a crusade up in Baltimore, and we had a wonderful time up there.
We sure did.
Well, Chris was with us that time.
Chris did a great job.
And he adds a certain amount of we relax a little when we have Chris around, don't you think?
It gives us security. That's what it is.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. Chris makes us secure.
We really, now that, you know, we might as well tell them now. We're going to tell them sooner or later what happened to you up at the motel when we checked in.
You want me to tell that?
Yeah, why not?
We got to the motel that my wife and I did just before you and Chris. And I had given Jake a couple of long jackets like doctors wear in the operating room. And I'm standing there signing the register, and then Jake and Chris come in behind me with the doctor's coats on. And what was the name Chris called me?
Fred Williams.
Yeah, I said, Fred, it's time to go back to the home. He said, we're having rice pudding tonight. You know how you like it. Well, the guy that was checking me in, his eyes got about that big, and he backed away from the counter and finally realized it was a joke. But what was funny, the rest of the week we were there, that fella see me coming into the lobby, he'd go back into the room, someone else would come out.
Yeah,
but we had a good time.
Yeah, we first said, asked the lady, and I turned around to you and I said, and who are we today?
Yeah.
You said, well, I'm Al Brown. And we told the room clerk that you were harmless.
Harmless, and you won't hurt. Yeah, you said, lady, don't be afraid now. He will not hurt you. And I appreciated that. But, you know, we have a good time.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
when we're on the road, we had a wonderful time all the while. But being on the road serving the Lord is what I live for. It's what you live for.
Amen.
And we love it. We love every second of it. We love to go in churches, regardless of what size, and hold revival meetings, crusades, or whatever they need, even homecomings or any kind of special meeting. And we always have a wonderful time in the Lord.
You know, this is really not a sideshow. We're the main act everywhere we go. I sing a little, he preaches a little. God blesses a lot.
Yes,
have a wonderful time.
Amen.
And it's our prayer that God's will be done in our lives.
Yes. Amen.
Nothing more, nothing less, and nothing else.
That's right. Amen.
Thank you, Lord, and amen. Here's the Spear family, and they're singing for you. He's still in the fire. The Spear family.
My mama read a story from the Bible long ago about Shadrach, Meshach, and old Abednego. How the wicked king commanded they be thrown into the flame because they would not bow and then deny their father's name. Mama said the king stood high upon a balcony so tall. When he looked in, he was shocked by all the things he saw, cause he thought that he would find them lying dead upon the ground. But instead of 3, he counted 4 up walking all around. Well, I said, Mama, wait a minute, there's one thing that I must know. If 3 went in and 3 came out, then where'd that 4th man go? And I never will forget it. Mama danced across the floor. These are the words I heard her say while shouting through the door. She said, he's still in the fire and he's walking in the flame, and he'll be there to help you when you call upon his name, and he can still deliver by his almighty power. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the fire. I said he's still in the fire and he's walking in the flame, and he'll be there to help you when you call upon his name, and he can still deliver by his almighty power. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the fire. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the fire. to face life's hardest flame. But I'm glad that I can tell you through the power of his name, not one flame of fire will touch you. You'll come through it and you'll tell, yesterday, today, forever, God is still alive and well. I said he's still in the fire and he's walking in the flame, and he'll be there to help you when you call upon his name. And he can still deliver by his almighty power. While here below it's good to know he's still in the fire. While here below it's good to know he's still in the fire.
Hans and I are talking here and talking about some of the services we've had over the country. We sing some of the smallest places in the world and some of the largest.
That's right.
But wherever we go, we give them the whole load.
Yes, we do, all of them.
100 or 100,000.
Or 4,000 or 5,000.
It's closer to 100 than it is 100,000,
Yeah,
really.
yeah, it is. I was thinking that I guess our smallest crowd's been 100, and the largest, what was in Louisville? They said 4,000, I think, in that building.
Yeah, probably.
But
so.
the main thing is that God blesses in all the services, regardless what size. And we'd love to come into these folks' churches and sing for them, preach for them, and just have a good time, have a good old time, like we used to do years ago. Like the folks up in Baltimore. Now, folks shouting in the church in Baltimore, Maryland. Now, people may not think that goes on today, but it really did, didn't it?
It sure did.
Yes, it did.
Now, we don't. We want you to know. Now, Chris is not there all the time, but Brother Al and I are there all the time.
All the time.
And so, if you'd like to have us in your church, why don't we get to? The man's already ahead of him. He's already punched up the
That's right.
box number over there. So you just write here, just write to me, Jake Hess, Post Office Box 111562. Nashville, Tennessee, 37222, and we'll get the mail to Brother Al, and we'll come and see you. We'll
Yes,
come to
we
your
will.
small churches or your large churches.
Anywhere in the country.
The name of the organization is Restored Ministries. How did that come about?
That came about, Jake, from what the Lord did for me personally in my life in restoring my ministry. And nearly every day in my home, there's some preacher or someone in the church that's been hurt that will call us. And what we try to do is restore them back into the ministry. If for some reason they see fit to get out of it, we try to get them back into it, you know.
Sure.
And that's how we come with Restored Ministries.
You just let us hear from you out there, and we'll get back in touch with you, and we'll be glad to come out and
Amen.
sing a little and preach a little and have a wonderful time. We sing songs like this, Of Very Special Grace. Hope you like it.
When my life is tested by some bitter trial, when the tempter tries to tempt me in life's way, when darkness dreary falls upon my journey, then Jesus gives a very special grace, a very special grace in time of trouble, a very special grace to see me through, a very special grace to heal my heartache. Now Jesus wants to give this special grace to you. I know that I was never worthy My sin demanded I'd be punished too. I know that Jesus took my place on Calvary. This very special grace will see me through. A very special grace in time of trouble. A very special grace to see me through. A very special grace to heal my heartache. Now Jesus wants to give this special grace to you.
I think the first business meeting I had when I left the Masters 5 was with Brother Al and some of the members of the board, and we planned doing what we're talking about tonight.
Yes, we did.
And then about 3 weeks after that, we started.
We started, yes. And we do not practice, we do not rehearse, we just go and let the Lord have his way, and it's tremendous. It's tremendous. We've
Well,
watched hundreds and hundreds of people come to Christ, Jake. It's been exciting.
That's only been, listen, I can hardly remember how long it has been, but I'll tell you one thing. Time passes fast when you hear Brother Al speaking.
I appreciate that.
We've enjoyed each other for for many moons now.
Yes, long time.
Let's listen to Bill Gaither Trio sing. Here's Bill and Gloria and Mike English singing "Feeling at Home."
Good to be here. Good to see you. We feel right at home.
Feeling at home in the presence of Jesus, hearing him call me his own, just a feeling at home. Feeling at home. Putting my feet right under his table, knowing I won't be alone, just feeling at home. A feeling at home. You couldn't have told me I'd find what I found, contentment and peace from above. A feeling at home in the presence of Jesus, laying way back in his love.
I like that.
Warming myself by the fires of his spirit, camping right close to the throne, just a feeling at home. A feeling at home.
Feeling at home in the presence of Jesus.
Needed and happy and free, just feeling at home. Feeling at home.
Feeling accepted and loved and forgiven. A part of his warm family.
Just a feeling at home. Feeling at home. You couldn't have told me I'd find what I found, contentment and peace from above. Feeling at home in the presence of Jesus, laying way back in his love. Warming myself by the fires of his spirit, camping right close to the throne, just feeling at home. Feeling at home. Just feeling at home. Feeling
at home, feeling at home.
Good having you.
Thank you, sir. My privilege being here.
We hope to have you again
All
sometime.
right. Love to come back, Jack.
We got to get out of here. Well, let's listen to Gold City as we leave.
When you ride and sail down, you'll have your robe and shining crown.
Jesus will lead
Me all the way. Walking with him brings comfort and bliss. Heaven will be much sweeter than this.
Jesus will lead
Me all the way.
through the dark shadows and the golden sun.
Tonight, the good Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
I'm so glad he's holding my hand, lead me to that heavenly land. Jesus will lead me all the way.
Through the dark shadows,
Sunlight close to my side, he promised me forever to stay. I'm so glad he's holding my hand, leading me to that heavenly land. Jesus will lead me all the way. I'm so glad
he's holding my hand
to that heavenly land. Jesus will lead me all the way.
Here's Jake.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our wonderful world of gospel music. We call it Jake, Hess and Friends. Our guest tonight, Mr. Charles Waller, great promoter and television man. We'll be talking, you've heard all this before, but we'll go through it again for you, lest you forget. Let's get the program underway by having the Kingsmen sing for you, I'm Looking Above While Living Below.
When I look around me, troubles are abounding, trying to offend on every hand. I'm a looking above, while living below. When I get discouraged on my upward journey, if we count the deeds of sinful man, I'm a looking above, while living below. Looking toward the Savior, I will never waver. On His will be dashing to and fro. He will find me resting in the Savior's blessing till I reach that homeland of the soul. Always looking upward as I travel onward, waiting for the time when I must go. I'm a looking above, while living below. Gladly I will lay hold and move, Ray. That at the end of that little interlude there, there was an opening. I would like for you to place a little blip blip in there. I don't care if it's a video or not. You got to do your job. Gladly I will labor. Yeah, that's good. That's right. Move your nose, Ray, please, so I can talk to you in a bit. On that part that goes, when we go to the homeland of the soul, I want you to do me a little something special in there, please. A little like a cascade, a waterfall, Ray. Gladly I will labor for my Lord and Savior, pressing on to do what He has said. I'm looking above, while living below, telling them the story on my way to glory, never giving heed to what's ahead. I'm a-looking above. While living below, while living below, looking toward the Savior, I will never waver. On His will be dashing to and fro. He will find me resting in the Savior's blessing till I reach the homeland of the soul. Looking upward as I travel onward, waiting for the time when I must go. I'm looking above, while living below, looking toward the Savior, I will never waver. Dashing to and fro, He will find me resting in the Savior's blessing till I reach the homeland of the soul. Upward as I travel onward, waiting for the time when I must go. I'm looking above, I'm looking above,
While living below.
while living below.
We have to play that for Mr. Mark Ford and Bob Ulrich, our sound man and our director, because if we didn't, they could make us look mighty bad and sound worse. So we hope you enjoyed it also. I'm looking above while living below. Mr. Jim Hamill does a little exhorting in there. Might be helpful to the group. We'll be back with some more singing right after this. Here's a song that was produced at the Gospel Reunion over in Greenville, South Carolina, one of the previous programs, and was produced by Mr. Charles Waller. So let's listen to the Statesmen as they sing "Sweeter as the Days Go By."
The more I trust Him, the more I love Him. Nothing good for me to deny. The longer I know Him, the better I can show Him. I couldn't stop now if I tried. Oh, it gets sweeter as the days go by. It gets sweeter. Oh, yeah. As the moments fly. His love is richer, richer, deeper, deeper, fuller, sweeter, 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 sweeter as the days go by. The moment He's singing His praise He gave me, He put His love down deep in my heart. There's great joy in knowing with Him I am going and never from Him to depart. Oh, it gets sweeter as the days go by. It gets sweeter as the moments fly. His love is richer, richer, deeper, fuller, sweeter, 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 sweeter as the days go by. Oh, it's sweeter as the days go by. It gets sweeter as the moments fly. His love is richer, deeper, fuller, sweeter, 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 sweeter as the days go by.
Our guest tonight has been with us before. As we told you then, he was a great promoter, announcer, video man, just whatever's necessary. This man can do it. Welcome, Charlie.
Thank you, Jake. It's good to be here. Be back.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing and seeing you people from over in Greenville. Where are you from, Greenville or Georgia?
Georgia on my mind.
Georgia on your mind. But you keep Greenville on your mind, especially about this time of the year, don't you?
Yeah, really. About 7 months out of the year, I keep Greenville on my mind.
Well, we want to talk about the Grand Old Gospel Reunion right now, or we want to wait a while?
Whatever. We'll do it right now if you want to.
Let's tell them about it now,
All right.
then we can
That song there, The Statesman, that you saw was done in Greenville, South Carolina in 1988, part of the Grand Old Gospel Reunion. And that's just one of the many groups that will be coming there this year, August 11th, 1990, 7 p.m., Greenville Memorial Auditorium. The Blackwood Brothers, 1954, James and J.D. and Bill Shaw and Jackie Marshall and Cecil will be there, along with Hovey Lister and the Statesmen. the Rebels Quartet from Tampa, Florida.
Better tell them Lee's going to be there.
Lee
He's got
Kitchens,
a lot of friends.
yeah, Lee Kitchens is coming, and we're going to have the Sunshine Boys, the Rangers Trio, the Chuck Wagon Gang with Rose and Anna, Governor Jimmy Davis, and it's a program that you just won't want to miss. It's we have a lot of fun there, and kind of take the folks back to the older days of gospel music.
I was talking to Hovey last week on the program about, you know, this is really a reunion, not only with our peers, but with the audience there. The people come from all over every state in the union just about. And you look forward to seeing them as well and hearing and seeing the singers.
Jake, we had over 700 hotel rooms last year.
We did.
That people came from out of town. And of course we had it 2 nights last year, and I just could not take it 2 nights this year.
Too much for anyone.
Too much.
We'll be talking about that after a while, but here's a statesman. Here's a beautiful song called Faith Unlocks the Door.
Prayer is the key to heaven, but faith unlocks the door. Words are so easily spoken. Prayer without faith is like a boat without an oar. Have faith when you speak to the Master. That's all he'll ask you for. Prayer is the key to heaven, but faith unlocks the is the key to heaven. Have you ever prayed for something big or small? How long did you have to wait? Or did the answer come at all? Words are mere expressions of thought and nothing more. It's believing, my friend, that really counts. Yes, prayer is the key to heaven, but faith unlocks the door. Have faith when you speak to the Master. That's all he'll ask you for. He's the key to heaven. It's faith unlocks the
That you played about, well, the first one at the break there, with Bill Gaither. We had a good time doing that. I had done it in my house, in my den, and my home there. I don't call it a house, it's a home. And we had Charlie and Who else did we have? We had Jack Pittman.
Pittman.
A whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
Came out there with a camera crew, and we went right in my den and had a wonderful time. Old Bill Gaithers, he eats a lot. So do you.
Oh, I know it, but I got a reason to.
Yeah, my wife was kind enough to feed us.
Had the best chicken.
I don't know what it is either, but it's good, wasn't it?
Oh, it was good. It was wonderful. We had a great time that day making that video. Gaither Remembers the Statesman. You know, we were talking about the old timers a little while ago. It's an honor for me to be able to produce a program like this, because a lot of you guys, you know, I kind of grew up on, and now here I am getting to do all this, and it's great. And then it's a joy for me to see people come from all across America. We had them from Hawaii last year, some from Australia came just for that show. And it's a joy for me to see people once again be charmed and entertained and blessed by a group that they grew up on themselves. And so, like you said a little while ago, it's more than just a singing. It is a reunion for the fans as well as the singers.
Yeah, some of those people we just get to see once a year, and that's at Greenville. And that's August the 11th. You want to remember that. Just one night, so don't wait. Don't come early or come late. It's Saturday night, August the 11th.
That's right, Saturday night, August 11th in Greenville, South Carolina. And if you'd like to make hotel reservations let me give you this number. It's 803-877-6923. And you can call, and they'll take care of your hotel reservations and your tickets.
Here's a young man who'll be singing there that night with a statesman, Mr. Tommy Thompson, a song called I Want to Know.
I want to know. Yeah. I do not want to be denied. I want to live in that city fair. That's enough for me to know. Well, I want to know. I do not want to be denied. Let me live in that city fair. That's enough for me to know. I do not know the day my Savior will come. I must be prepared to go. If from earth I know He'll call me, oh Lord, that's enough for me to know. Well, I want to know. I do not want to be denied. Let me live in that city fair. That's enough for me to know. I want to know that He will welcome me. Then I do not want to be denied. I want to live in that city so fair. That's enough for me to know.
You people get your pen and paper, and we'll give that number Charlie gave you for the Greenville Sing at the end of the program, okay? That was old Tommy Thompson. Maybe he's watching us. In fact, I know good and well he's watching us because he's over there in the studio now.
Yeah, we have to get a hold of him early in order for him to be there. We have to get a hold of him a month ahead of time and hang on to him.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's just we didn't have a little short of funds and didn't have the funds to have Tommy on television. I don't have him on camera tonight, but you'll get to see him in Greenville and you'll enjoy him with the Statesman.
Well, he's been on here 3 times. He sung 3 songs.
Well, but it's nothing like meeting Tommy and talking with him, you know.
Well, that's true.
His singing is great, but his talking is much better.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, we're going to have a time in Greenville, so you remember all these things. Here's Gaither Vocal Band, and this is different. Listen to Bill in Glory.
But also, I think sometimes male voices can get some power in singing that you can't quite get in female voices. If you were to say a big theological statement like, "It is finished," I think you can say that better with male voices. And I guess when you come
I think
back
you've
to
talked yourself into a hall here.
it's just a lot of fun, you know what I mean?
He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his. With a strong arm, he lifted me up to show me what living is. And he'll come down to your level if you'll open up the door. He wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for.
If you're looking for contentment in the things that you can see, you're gonna have some disappointments, so won't you listen to me, please? Cause I heard about a Savior who came down to be a man, and when he left, he sent his spirit and made me everything I am.
He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his. With a strong arm, he lifted me up to show me what living is. And he'll come down to your level if you'll open up the door. He wants to make your life worth living. That's what he came down for.
Sometimes I make decisions that later I regret, but the Lord keeps on assuring me He's not finished with me yet. I don't worry about tomorrow, I don't worry about yesterday, I don't worry about this crazy world, cause I found a better way.
He came down to my level when I couldn't get up to his.
That phone number again for the Greenville Grand Ole Gospel Reunion. That's 803-877-6923. And we'd love to hear from you, and we hope you call and make your reservations. Jake, I got to get to Georgia. Thank you for having me, and I'll see you in Greenville.
Mr. Charlie Waller, it's good to have you and hope to have you back real soon.
Thank you.
Here's the cathedral standing on holy ground as we leave you.
Moses was a holy man of God, you see, going about his daily tasks just like you and me. He sought the Lord for 40 years, and this is what he found. And in God's presence, he was standing on the holy ground. I'm standing on the holy ground, where perfect peace and everlasting joy are found. With his glory all around, in God's presence, I'm standing on the holy ground.
Watch it, old man. Don't hurt yourself.
Moses stood for 40 years upon God's word. Talked to God so many times, this he'd never heard. When God spoke from the burning bush, say against the Lord you found. So take your shoes off, you're standing on a holy ground. I'm standing on the holy ground, where perfect peace and everlasting joy are found. And with his glory all around, in God's presence, I'm standing on the holy ground. I'm standing.
Mr. E says that's it for tonight. The good Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
Peace and everlasting joy found. And with his glory all around, in God's presence, I'm standing on the holy ground. In God's presence, I'm standing on the holy ground.
And now from Nashville, Tennessee, here's Jake.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our wonderful world of gospel music. We call it Jake Hess and Friends. And our guest tonight, well, our substitute guest was supposed to be Bill Traylor, but he couldn't make it, so his substitute is here, Chris Hess. We'll talk to Chris right after the first two songs. Here's a Bible Tones to get this program underway. It's called Victory Road, the Bible Tones.
Many are the times that we have stumbled as we march through this sinful land. But I know the Lord is ever walking by our side. Who do we turn to? Who do we cling to when the next step is oh so dim? Jesus our Savior, blessed Redeemer, and our God.
Well, the victory road
That we are traveling,
leading us home.
the upward way, going home to glory, going home to glory, there to live with Christ forever.
Roads are getting bright,
Roads are getting brighter,
roads are getting light.
roads are getting lighter, for I know that we are traveling on a victory road. Many are the times the path is narrow, uphill and winding all the way, but the dear Savior said he'd never let us stray. Promised us a mansion, life everlasting, when we come to the end of the way. If we believe and trust and receive Him, victory road.
Well, the victory road
That we are traveling,
leading us home.
the upward way, going home to glory, going home to glory, there to live with Christ forever.
Roads are getting bright,
Roads are getting brighter,
roads are getting light.
roads are getting lighter, for I know that we are traveling on a victory road.
Well, the roads are getting bright,
Roads are getting brighter,
the roads are getting light.
roads are getting lighter. Oh, I know that we are traveling on a victory road.
The Bible Tones from Gulfport, Mississippi, singing for you, Victory Road. We'll be back with some more good gospel music right after this. One of the most beautiful songs we have around here is one sung by the Nealons, "Oh, for 1,000 Tongues." Beautiful song.
Glory to the Lamb, whose throne forever reigns. God in
You know, the good Lord has been good to Joyce and I. We've been married about 38 years, got a wonderful daughter. Then we had a son. Then we had a wonderful son, W.J. Hess Jr. It's that middle child, you know. Well, you know what they say about middle.
The neglected one is what it is.
That's the neglected.
The neglected child.
Neglected one. Mm-hmm. This is Chris Hess, our middle child. And, you know, people often ask, if he's number one son, why wasn't he W.J. Hess Jr.? Well, my wife had so much trouble with that name, Mrs. W.J. Hess Jr., that she refused to name you that.
Well, most people don't know that when you were born, all he got was initials, was W.J. That was his name, W.J. On some of your personal records, it's got W, and then it has only out beside it in parentheses, and J, and then in parentheses only, and so your name really is Wonley Jonley, I guess.
Well, it was. But
well, tell the story about how you got Jake.
Well, I was working for the Daniel Quartet, W.J. Hess, G.B. West, and J.W. Phillips. And John Daniel got tired of getting his tongue all tangled up.
I can imagine introducing the group.
And he was calling us everything under the sun. We got back, the car had to leave at that. He said, W.J., your name is Jake. He said, J.W., your name is Judd. G.B., your name is George. So that's why George West, Judd Phillips, and Jake Hess got their name.
You know, and that's amazing. And the names of all the men have stuck.
Oh, yeah.
For years.
Judd Phillips is the man that was with, you know, he was Jerry Lee Lewis's manager for years. George West is I think he's a retired contractor or something. He outsmarted the rest of us. He got out while he had money. George is a fine man.
Well, we probably don't have time to tell them about when we got ready to go overseas and tried to get a passport.
I tell you, let's have a song. I forgot about that. Let's have a song by the Stamps Quartet. This is a good song. I think it's the one in the charts. If it isn't, it should be. What kind of church? You'll like this.
What kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many souls would be saved today if it all depended on what I say? I wonder how many prayers would my Lord have to answer if all that he heard came from me? I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many times have I said, oh, Jesus, turn a deaf ear to the need? How many times have I said I'm a Christian, but never one soul did I need? How many luxuries have I passed by to have more to give to the Lord? Jesus, I promise as long as I live, from now on I'm gonna do more. No wonder my pastor has so many burdens I never do offer to bear. No wonder the members are bowed down with sorrow, for I never offer to share. No wonder the heathen are dying in sin. No wonder the missions are lack. My heart is so cold and I've lost my first love, but Jesus, I'm on my way back. How many times have I said I love Jesus and turned a deaf ear to the need? How many times have I said I'm a Christian, but never one soul did I lead? How many luxuries have I passed by to have more to give to the Lord? Jesus, I promise as long as I live, from now on I'm gonna do more. I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many souls would be saved today if it all depended on what I say? How many prayers would my Lord have to answer if all that he heard came from me? I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? What kind of church would my church be? What kind of church would my church be? What kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me?
the Stamps Quartet. Old Ed Enoch is back with the Stamps, and he's doing a fine job.
It's good to see Ed back singing it.
Yeah, you remember Ed, huh?
Yeah, when he traveled with you, we used to wrestle all the time.
I think he used to whip you all the time, best I remember.
Yeah, he did.
You gonna do anything about that?
No, I don't think so.
I tell you what, let's do here. Let's go to break, and then we'll talk with you about that passport bit. Okay?
All right.
To our backup guest, Chris Hess, and we still don't have time to do that story, but we'll get into it after the Gold City sing. They're singing "Taking the First Flight Out," the Gold City.
Standing at the station, listening for departure orders, are looking toward the eastern sky. Everyone's excited, talking about that celebration that's coming real soon in the by and by. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful city. I'm taking the first flight out to where we'll be forevermore. I'm ready to go. I know that I am. I'm redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful shore. Here's your invitation to a celebration that's coming by Jesus my Lord. Already paid the fare, made your reservation. For any moment we'll be leaving. There's only one flight that will take you there. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful city. I'm taking the first flight out to where we'll be forevermore. I'm ready to go. I know that I am. I'm redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful shore. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful city. I'm taking the first flight out to where we'll be forevermore. I'm ready to go. I know that I am. I'm redeemed by the blood of the Lamb. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful shore. I'm taking the first flight out to the beautiful shore.
The Gold City, featuring Mr. Tim Riley, fine bass singer,
He
Mr.
is.
Tim Riley.
I enjoyed that.
They're from Glencoe, Alabama. That's pretty close to Gadsden, you know, where we go down and see Mama Mac.
You gonna tell the passport story?
Well, you started a while ago. Why don't you?
Well, you know, earlier we were talking about your name and Wonley, Jonley,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we got ready to go overseas with an evangelistic team, and we all needed passports. So we had to secure our birth certificates. The only trouble is when Dad got his, it said man-child. That's all that was on his birth certificate.
No, it said man-child born to Stovall and Lydia Hess.
And you remember the lady in the, who was it, Montgomery?
Miss Shirley. Miss Shirley.
Down at the Hall of Records, Dad called and Dad said, well, who am I? She said, well, who do you want to be? He said, you can be anybody you want to.
And so I told her, I said, well, I've been paying Social Security on W. Jake Hess all these years. I'd like to be the same fellow if it's okay with you. He said, okay with me. You can be anybody, but you want to stay with that W. Jake, fine.
It took us a while to get overseas, to get you a passport and get on our way.
That's been many moons ago, what, 10 years ago? Oh, 15 years ago, I guess.
I reckon.
Okay, we won't go any further on that. We better get some good singing in here before Mr. Mark give us some kind of dirty word or something. He's bad at that with me. Here's Don, Mac, and Robbie. You'll enjoy this song. It's a great song. We will glorify the Lord.
We will glorify the King of Kings. We will glorify the Lamb. We will glorify the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am. Lord Jehovah reigns in majesty. We will bow before his throne. We will worship him in righteousness. We will worship him alone. We will glorify the King of Kings. We will glorify the Lamb. We will glorify the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am. He is Lord of all the universe. He is Lord of all who live. He is Lord of all the heaven and earth. All praise to him we give. Oh, hallelujah to the King of Kings. Hallelujah to the Lamb. Hallelujah to the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am. We will glorify the King of Kings. We will glorify the Lamb. We will glorify the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am.
Trailer was our backup guest. Well, really, Rusty Goodman was supposed to be on here. Rusty's a little under the weather. Mr. Trailer's out of town, so it was nice to have Chris, my son, on as a guest today. By the way, if you have a favorite gospel singer or someone in the gospel music field you'd like to have as guest, well, why don't you write us? Write us, Jake Hess and Friends, Post Office Box 111562. That's Nashville, Tennessee, 37222. We'd be glad to hear from you, and maybe you'd have a request. One of your favorite groups. Well, we'll try it. If we don't have them here, well, we'll get the video from them and play them for you. It's your program, so let us hear from you. That's about all the time, Mr. B said, so here's the Cumberland Boys singing, You Can't Be a Beacon If Your Light Don't Shine.
If your light don't shine, there's a light in all of us by God's design. You can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. How can you ask for truth when you do not live? How can you ask forgiveness when you don't forgive? Now I don't mean to bring you down or speak to you unkind, but you can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. You can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. You can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. There's a light in all of us by God's design. You can't be a beacon if your light don't shine. May God's love surround you, may you find a brighter day. May He grant the peace you seek in each and every way. God's light burns in each heart, yours and mine. And you can be a beacon if you let it shine. You can't be a beacon if you let it shine. You can't be a beacon if you let it shine. There's a light in all of us by God's
Tennessee, here's Jake.
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our wonderful world of gospel music. We call it Jake, Hess, and Friends. Our guest, Gordon Stoker, the Gordon Stoker of the Jordan Hours. Jordan Ayers, that is. We're going to have the J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet to open our program, and they're singing What Kind of Church?
What kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many souls would be saved today if it all depended on what I say? I wonder how many prayers would my Lord have to answer if all that he heard came from me? I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many times have I said unto Jesus, turned a deaf ear to the need? How many times have I said I'm a Christian, but never one soul did I need? How many luxuries have I passed by to have more to give to the Lord? Jesus, I promise as long as I live, from now on I'm gonna do more. No wonder my pastor has so many burdens I never do offer to bear. No wonder the members are bowed down with sorrow, for I never offer to share. No wonder the heathen are dying in sin. No wonder the missions are lack. My heart is so cold and I've lost my first love, but Jesus, I'm on my way back. How many times have I said I love Jesus and turned a deaf ear to the need? How many times have I said I'm a Christian, but never one soul did I lead? How many luxuries have I passed by to have more to give to the Lord? Jesus, I promise as long as I live, from now on I'm gonna do more. I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? How many souls would be saved today if it all depended on what I say? How many prayers would my Lord have to answer if all that he heard came from me? I wonder what kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me? What kind of church would my church be? What kind of church would my church be? What kind of church would my church be if every member was just like me?
J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet singing What Kind of Church? It's a good number. I guess it's in the Singing News charts, and so they say when you get in the charts, that's a good song. We'll be back with some more good singing right after this. A few moments ago, we were talking about gospel songs being in the charts. Well, here's one that's been in the charts for quite some time. The Spear family singing, He's Still in the Fire.
My mama read a story from the Bible long ago about Shadrach, Meshach, and old Abednego. How the wicked king commanded they be thrown into the flame because they would not bow and then deny their father's name. Mama said the king stood high upon a balcony so tall. When he looked in, he was shocked by all the things he saw, cause he thought that he would find them lying dead upon the ground. But instead of 3, he counted 4 up walking all around. Well, I said, Mama, wait a minute, there's one thing that I must know. If 3 went in and 3 came out, then where'd that 4th man go? And I never will forget it. Mama danced across the floor. These are the words I heard her say while shouting through the door. She said, he's still in the fire and he's walking in the flame, and he'll be there to help you when you call upon his name, and he can still deliver by his almighty power. still delivered by his almighty power. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the fire. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the fire. Now, my friend, you may be destined to face life's hardest flame, but I'm glad that I can tell you through the power of his name. Not one flame of fire will touch you. You'll come through it and you'll tell. Yesterday, today, forever, God is still alive and well. I said he's still in the fire and he's walking in the flame, and he'll be there to help you when you call upon his name. And he can still deliver by his almighty power. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the fire. While here below, it's good to know he's still in the
You know, George Reynolds and I have been talking ever since we've had the program here. We've been talking about Gordon Stoker, been trying to get Gordon Stoker. And George and Gordon go to the same church. And I said, is he back in town? When is he going to be here with us? Gordon, we're glad to have you.
Thank you, Jake. You've always been one of my very favorite people, and I'm just delighted to be here. I'm sorry that the quartet's, well, outside of being in Florida a lot with my home I have there with my wife, I'm out of the country a lot with the quartet, so it's, you know, it's one of those things.
I think the quartet taking this time to get a rest before you take off again. Did you tell me that you're singing a lot in Japan?
I can't believe we did an album for a company in Denmark, and just kind of exploded, so to speak. All of a sudden, they realized that the Jordanaires could come over there, and we've already been over there some 5 weeks this year, and we've got a trip coming up in September, a week in Germany. We're going to, in November, we're doing a week in Japan. Then we're going back to Denmark for about 10 days in September. I can't believe all this sudden, but you know, we were on all of Patsy Cline's hits. Yeah, and Patsy Cline's very big in those countries, and of course, being on all of Elvis, most all of Elvis's hits, that's very big in those countries. All of a sudden, they want to see the people that performed on those records, so here we are, you know.
That's great, that's great. I was talking with David Reese today, and he said to be sure and remind you that when he first heard you playing, that he just enjoyed it so much he just liked to twerp his bassinet.
That's about right. I guess it's, you know, I started playing for John Daniel as Hugh Gordon Stoker. Most of the people will remember me as Hugh. I started playing for John. John heard me playing. I started playing in churches when I was about 8 years old. And John heard me when I was about 12 or 13 years old over in West Tennessee. And he said, son, when you get out of high school, I want you to play for the Daniel Quartet. And when I got out of high school, John called. And so I came to Nashville and was on the opera at about 15 years old. And that's been many, many years ago. We won't go into that, but I was very fortunate to have gotten to work with him.
John was a great man.
Well, John was a businessman, but John, I think, had a lot to do with bringing gospel music to the front. In the officials' eyes. That is, I guess we were the first gospel quartet on the network, NBC network.
Right.
And I was only 15, 16 years old. I had a little, he called me a little greasy head. Get your little greasy head down there and play that piano.
Well, he called me a lot of things. In fact, he fired me 3 times.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, that's.
But he was good to me. I loved him. Hey, the Jordanaires, the most requested song they have here on the J. Hess and Friends is this one, called "Search Me, Lord." A good song.
Well, search me, Lord. Search me, Lord. Well, search me, Lord. Search me, Lord. Well, turn the lights from heaven onto my soul. Well, if you find anything that shouldn't be, take it out and straighten me. I want to live right. I want to be saved. I want to be whole. Well, you know when I'm right. You know when I'm wrong. You know where I go. You know where I belong. You know what I do. You know my secrets too. Well, search me, search me, search me through and through. Search me, Lord. Search me, Lord. Please search me, Lord. Search me, Lord. Well, now turn the lights from heaven on my soul. Well, if you find anything that shouldn't be, take it out and straight. I want to live right. I want to be saved. You know just what I need. If there's something there that I'm not aware, well, take it, move it, keep me in your care.
Search me, Lord.
Search me, Lord.
Please search me, Lord.
Search me, Lord.
Well, now turn the lights from heaven onto my soul. If you find anything that shouldn't be, take it out and straight. I want to live right. I want to be saved. I want to be whole. Well, search me, Lord.
Search me, Lord.
Please search me, Lord.
Search me, Lord.
Well, now turn the lights from heaven onto my soul. If you find anything that shouldn't be, take it out and straight. I want to live right. I want to be saved. I want to be
Elvis Presley days, of course, as most of you out there know, that Gordon Stoker and the Jordanaires were, well, the first group to back him up.
Yeah, we worked with him some 15 years. And that Search Me, Lord was the type of song that Elvis would sit at the piano singing all night long. He loved to sing he loved spirituals. You know, really, spirituals was his first love.
You know, one time the Imperials and the Jordanaires were in on a session with you folk.
Right.
Presley, and broke the session right in the middle, and we sit there and sing gospel music for an hour and a half
Oh, yeah,
or so.
that's, you know, we got ran out of many studios in Hollywood for, you know, we did some 28 movies with him. We got ran out of many studios in Hollywood for singing spirituals. They didn't know what we were singing. It was unknown tongues to them. But he loved spirituals, and you were one of his very favorite singers. I think I've told you that before.
You know, I never did. I knew Elvis, but I didn't know him as in his professional life.
He was the kindest, sweetest, most considerate guy that we ever worked with. Of course, we had the joy of working with him some 14, 15 years. The reason we quit working with him was because our recording schedule here in Nashville, we were doing so many recording sessions, backing everybody, that we just couldn't continue working on the road with him or working in Vegas with him. We didn't do that because of our recording schedule here.
You guys probably the most recorded people in the business, in the world.
They tell us that we have been on more phonograph recordings than any vocal group in the world. We're very fortunate. Of course, I'm fortunate to have been with the Jordanaires 40 years. This is my 40th year that I've been with the Jordanaires.
And
I'm not that old.
Oh, I know. You started just a wee kid.
I was just a kid.
You know this boy, Larry O'Rell. Larry's singing voice. Don't go to heaven alone. Take somebody with you.
Traveling the globe, it's nice to have some company go. It's better to go anywhere when there's someone to share. So on your heavenward move, don't go by yourself, make it two. Don't go to heaven alone, take somebody with you. Invite somebody along, and your journey won't seem quite so long. You'll be surprised how many will go. If someone goes who they know, so make it your business to do what everybody who's going should do. Don't go to heaven alone, take somebody with you. Someone that you know, friends and neighbors in sin. Are you trying to win? Your home is in heaven, it's true, but heaven was made
Jordan, I believe it was in 61 or 62. This is my claim to fame. The Jordanaires backed me on a record, and what was it, in 61?
I think it was.
Back when the Phillips studio was
right,
here. Yeah.
right. We thoroughly enjoyed doing that. We got to work with, we got to do a lot of gospel albums, and still do occasionally do gospel albums. We've got a new one coming up with Tennessee Ernie, supposed to. I don't know if it'll ever, you know, we've done 3 with Ernie. Yeah. Our first one we did with Ernie won a Grammy Award. A friend we have.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
yes.
we love to sing religious music. I don't think there's any joy that you get out of any music as much as religious music.
Oh, we had a good time back then.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we have a good time every time we get together. Here's some folks that have a good time singing. The Neelands. They do a fantastic job. Jerry Thompson's featured God Bless the USA.
If tomorrow all the things were gone I've worked for all my life, and I had to start again with just my family and my wife, I'd thank my God above to be living here today, 'cause the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. From the lakes of Minnesota to the hills of Tennessee, across the plains of Texas, from sea to shining sea, from Detroit on down to Houston, from New York to LA, there's pride in every American heart, and it's time we stand and say that I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free, and I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today. 'Cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA. God bless the
In Chicago, Illinois, they did a program up there, and we were talking about the Jordanaires. She said, you know, this is the first time I've ever seen the Jordanaires sing as a quartet.
Well,
She met by themselves.
Well, they're so used to hearing us do nothing but background. Right. But if the people like to hear the Jordanaires sing, if they'll write to you and request the Jordanaires numbers, we'll do more numbers for them, and maybe I'll get to come back.
Hey, you'll get to come back. You get to come back regardless, because we knew how they felt about you. That's the reason George and I tried to get you all these weeks, you know. But he's a very busy man, and we do thank you for coming.
Thank you. I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
We have a lot of friends over the country that speak very highly of the Jordanaires, and it's a thrill to be able to bring Gordon Stoker to the people.
Thank you.
When you started with the Jordanaires, did you not play the piano for them first?
Yes, I did. I started as a piano player, and our first tenor singer had a nervous breakdown when we were had 5 nights in a club in Detroit. And he had a nervous breakdown, and they forced me to sing first tenor. So I started singing first tenor, and I've been singing first tenor ever since.
It's forced you into one of the greatest moves of your life. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Jake.
For the last song here is a Bible song. Do you believe in what you believe?
Are we just playing Christian like an actor plays a role?
Or do we believe?
Do we believe in what we believe?
Do we believe?
Do we believe in what we believe? We know the gospel truth, but does it shine through me? Will people ever realize just what their life could be?
Or do we believe?
Do we believe in what we believe? Well, I've heard an old-time preacher talk about the joy of heaven, and he's preached about another place of endless pain and grief. But has the words he spoke so plain and clear done anything to me?
Do we believe?
Do we believe in what we believe?
Do we believe?
Do we believe in what we believe? We know the gospel truth, but does it shine through me? Will people ever realize just what their life could be?
Or do we believe?
Do we believe in what we
Mr. B says that's about it for now. Good Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
What we believe?
Do we believe?
We know the gospel truth, but does it shine through?
Will people ever realize just what their life could be?
Or do we believe?
Do we believe in what we believe? Do we believe in what we believe?
Thank you, Bob, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to our wonderful world of gospel music. We have some good songs for you today, and of course our special guest is Steve Warren. You'll enjoy Steve. Right now, let's get the program underway by having the Cumberland Boys. The Cumberland Boys are singing Sing the Glory Down.
One day when I was feeling kind of sad and blue, I with nothing going on and nothing much to do, a friend of mine came by and said, why don't we go on down to the all-day singing and dinner on the ground? Well, right away I found myself seated in the pew, I gathered with the people enjoying something new. But the thing that I liked better than dinner on the ground was when everybody joined right in and sang the glory down. And they sing, I'm in the way, the right, shining way, yes, I'm in the glory land way, glory, with the faces all low and such a happy sound. Everybody joined right in and sang the glory down. Well, soon I got so happy, my hands clapping too, my cup was overflowing and I was feeling new. So when they started singing, I was lost but now I'm found. I opened up my heart and helped them sing the glory down. Now I'm a happy Christian, waiting for the day when angels sound a trumpet and we're all called away. Oh, when the saints go marching in and the harps are passed around, we will all gather round the throne and sing the glory down. And we'll sing glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. With the faces all aglow and such a happy sound, all the saints will join right in and sing the glory down. I'm in the way, the bright and shining way, yes, I'm in the glory land way, glory, with the faces all aglow and such a happy sound, all the saints will join right in and sing the glory down. All the saints will join right in and sing, sing, sing the glory down.
Sing the Glory Down by the Cumberland Boys. We'll be back with some more good gospel singing right after this. We got some good mail and some good telephone calls since our last show last week, and Monroe, Louisiana, a good friend of ours down there, Garland May. He's everybody's friend. All the good gospel quartets went through there and the Masters 5. And we had a lot of fun with Garland May, and we're just glad you're watching us there in Monroe. Good to hear from you. Right now, let's have Don Mack and Robbie sing a song. You'll probably like this one, Garland. It's your type fellas singing. Listen to the hammer ringing.
Listen to the hammer as it rings on Calvary. The spikes that held him captive liberated me. Now you may think I'm calloused by the joy you see in me, but every blow was planned by God and taken willingly. Listen to the hammer ring and rejoice. Listen to the hammer ring and praise Jesus. Listen to the hammer ring, for he's taken everything that was against us and nailed it to his cross.
The precious hands of Jesus that healed the sick, the lame. His touch was so tender, now his hands are maimed. And those feet that travel over rough and rocky roads now are bloodied by the nails that my Jesus chose.
Listen to the hammering and rejoice. Listen to the hammering and praise Jesus. Listen to the hammering, for he's taken everything that was against us and nailed it to this cross. Listen to the hammering and rejoice.
I'll never cease to
Listen to the hammering and praise Jesus.
and thank him for the cross he
Listen to the hammering, for he's taken everything that was against us and nailed it to his cross. Listen to the hammering and rejoice.
Glory, hallelujah.
Listen to the hammering and praise Jesus.
Oh, let's praise the name of the
Listen to the
Lord.
hammering, for he's taken everything that was against us and nailed it to his cross. Listen to the hammering.
Listen to the hammering.
Listen to the hammering and rejoice.
When the Masters 5 were organized, well, we went to Houston, Texas, and there's a young man out there that told some of the fellas, said, now, I know you guys are getting on up in years, and some of you are going to be needing to get out and go to the hospital and get out of the quartet for vacation, this and that. And he told Hovey Lister, said, I can sing any part, and then I can also play the piano. Well, Hovey liked it fine. He said he could play the piano. Steve Warren's our guest. Good to have you, Steve.
Good to be with you, Jake. Thank you, sir.
Well, you know, we might carry that just a little further. While, well, it wasn't what, about a year from that when we came back and Rosie had the stroke?
Something like that. It could have been 6 months to a year. You know, y'all would come to town and do a series of dates because, you know, Houston was so far off the beaten path till you had to do a series of dates to even make it feasible, much less profitable, you know, to come down and do it. So my wife and I'd always come out and see the quartet on the date should be there.
What was so funny about this, it wasn't funny that Rosie Roselle had a stroke. We don't mean that. But Hovey called Steve and told him that where the program was supposed to be that night, and we needed a tenor singer, and if he could do all those things he said he would do, come on down. Here's what he did. When he got to the auditorium, Hovey said, well, you want to see this list? And Steve said, no. He said, well, what key you want him in? He said, just the keys you've been at, see.
I said, well, Hovey, save us both some time and just go ahead and do your program.
And what he did was this. We went on, we did the same program that we always did. Steve sung the program, didn't miss a word or pitch. Now, that's impossible to do, but he did it.
Well,
you didn't.
Well, yeah. You know, I ran across that tape the other day, the cassette that I made that night off of the soundboard. And we need to get together sometime and listen to that and laugh at it.
I didn't know you did that.
I sure did. That's been, goodness, you realize that's been 8 years ago? Going on 8 years ago? It was in '82.
We didn't think then we'd be doing this, did we?
Sure did.
Let's have the Gold City sing us a song, sing a quartet here, and
they can do it.
We'll finish this conversation. Right. They wanted to hear old bass singer there, old Tim Riley sing "Ezekiel Saw the Wheel."
That's a good one.
He saw that wheel
way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
In the middle of the air.
Yeah.
Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
Way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel. In the middle of the air. One of them morning about 5 o'clock.
Don't you know
In the middle of the air.
Doggone well of this whole world are gonna reel and rock, don't you know?
In the middle of the air.
Let
Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
Way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel. In the middle of the air. Told you once and I've told you twice.
Don't you know?
In the middle of the air.
Told all them sinners going to hell for rolling them dice, don't you know?
In the middle of the air.
Let
Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
Way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel. In the middle of the air. When I get to the mountaintop.
Don't you know?
In the middle of the air.
Go, make my wing a go a flippity flop, don't you know?
In the middle of the air.
Let
Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
Way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
In the middle of the air.
Let
Ezekiel saw the wheel.
He saw that wheel
Way in the middle of the air. Ezekiel saw the wheel. In the middle of the air. Yeah. All right. How about that for Tim Riley? I thought he done a good job on that.
Gold City singing for you that. You know, Tim Riley sounds just like old Dad Wilson on that part, you know, Ezekiel Saw the Wheel. Dad wasn't as full as Tim is, but he the Golden Gate Quartet, they were just great.
I don't remember hearing the original cut on that, but tell you what, Tim does a good job on it.
I keep remembering you're not as old as I am, are you? By about 20 or 30 years. But we won't get into that.
Yeah, let's talk.
Why don't we, you folks go there and pay a few bills while Steve and I carry on.
We got a lot
okay? I'm still talking to Steve here. Most of you, I don't know where we've told you or not, the guy that we have a little credit there on the program where you arranged and performed on the tape.
Oh, the
yeah. Steve does all the voices, and plays all the instruments, and that's kind of hard to do, I think. I'm not able to do that, but...
You're busy while you're doing it.
Busy, huh?
Busy, yeah.
Sure. And he also has an album, I know one album you have, that where you do all the parts and you back yourself up. Yeah. Did you know when we brought out the record of Innovative Sounds, and they'd ask me, said, who's your backup voices? And I said, Steve Warren. They'd say, who else? I said, Steve Warren. They don't realize that you did all those voices, and you sound like a choir on one number, and you sound like whatever you needed to sound.
Thank the Lord for multi-track recording. If it wasn't the days of multi-track recording, I'd be out of business.
Steve, you may say, well, what is he doing now? Well, he's producing records, and this week you recorded with a song with some people that came in, didn't have a tenor, so you did a session there.
That, right?
I'll tell you one thing that he does, and you'll be very fortunate to, that he's in this vicinity and able to do these things. He came down to our church, sung for the youth department, and gave as fine a programs I've ever heard in my life.
We had a good time that night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good bunch of kids.
Anytime you can keep these guys from like 13 to 20, keep their attention like you did that night. You got to be good. You know?
Well, I tell you, he's got to be good or loud or both, one of the two.
They're fine people out there, and they ever more enjoyed Mr. Steve Warren.
Well, I sure enjoyed being with him.
If you'd like to have him in your vicinity, well, just right here at the station or whatever. They have a box number that they just show up after a while. But you'll be very fortunate to get this young guy to come out and sing for you.
Say that young again, that's good.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
Young, yeah.
I have to be
sounding better all the time. You know?
I have to be speaking to somebody else when I use that word anymore. Hey, here's a guy that sings young, and he does well. Mr. James Blackwood. He's singing the Easter song. James Blackwood.
Hear the bells ringing, they're singing that we must be born again. Hear the bells ringing, they're singing, Christ is risen from the dead. The angel up on the tombstone said he is risen, just like he said. Quickly now, go tell his disciples that Jesus Christ is no longer dead. Joy to the world, he's risen, hallelujah, he's risen, hallelujah, he's risen, hallelujah, hallelujah. Hear the bells ringing, they're singing that we must be born again. Hear the bells ringing, they're singing, Christ is risen from the dead. The angel up on the tombstone said he is risen, just like he said. Quickly now, go tell his disciples that Jesus Christ is no longer dead. Joy to the world, he's risen, hallelujah, he's risen, hallelujah, he's risen, hallelujah, hallelujah,
James Blackwood singing the Easter song for you. You know, James called about, or I called him, we called each other, I don't know who called him. He just got back from Russia, you know, and he was telling me about his trip, and he's very excited about that. And we talked about you. I don't remember what we said, but it must have been good, because James is that kind of guy.
I tell you what, 70 years old, the things he's done. I just hope I'm able to even get around at all by the time I'm 70. You know, especially get around and look as good as James Blackwood does and sing like that still.
He's fine. He's fine. Listen, we got to get on another song, and Miss Naomi Seagold is going to sing for us, Where the Roses Never Fade. Steve Warren, you know it's been good to have you today.
I've enjoyed it, Jake.
Just
I
answer
really
one
have.
question. How do you cope with having all this vast knowledge that you have and do just about anything in music?
Well, I tell you, if you can keep it in perspective, and by that meaning that I was fortunate enough to be, first of all, born into a Christian family, Christian parents. First music I remember hearing was Statesman and Blackwood Brothers singles, long time before there was LPs. I was born with 2 arms, 2 hands, 2 legs, and 2 feet, and 2 eyes, and they all worked good. And I had just as much to do with that as I have with the musical abilities. So, you know, as long as you can realize, hey, it all comes from up there, you know, it's
been a joy to have you.
I've enjoyed it.
Hope you come back to see us. Right now, Mr. B says we just got a very short while here. Let's listen to the Fox Brothers. Good Lord willing, we'll see you next week.
Was a savior, and he died just to save me and you.
She said, son, always remember his mother's at his feet. His father is waiting up above. Now don't look left, don't look right, just look straight in Jesus' eyes, and you'll always see him looking back with love. Because, son, all you got to understand is that the one on the right, he was a sinner, the one on the left was too, but the man in the middle was a savior, and he died just to save me and you. Many times I strayed from my Christian mama's way, but I'll never forget the words she said. I still hear her softly say, son, he's coming back someday. Just because he's gone away